Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. It is me. I am your host. My name is Brandon, and I am joined today by my fellow Psychonaut cadets. I've got Will.
Russia's greatest love machine.
I got Saf.
Private Saf, reporter for duty, Saf!
I got Noah.
Don't sneeze out your brains.
And last, but certainly not least, I've got Ills.
I am the milkman. The milk is delicious.
That's a good one.
I was really hoping somebody would say that. Much appreciated. If you didn't figure it out from the intro, it was pretty obvious, but we played Psychonauts on this edition of the Game Club. And Psychonauts was released all the way back in 2005, so, not too old. Not the oldest game we ever played.
50.
Not as new as last week when we played Oddworld New and Tasty, which was I think the most recent game we ever played.
Besides like fighters
Octopath.
and
Well, besides,
Octopath.
besides the
Aces.
brand new releases, So back in April of 2005, by the way, this game was developed by Double Fine Productions. A psychic adventure from the mind of Tim Schafer is what it says right on the box art. They want you to know that, which is interesting. That they would advertise that right on the front.
Well, it was their first game, right?
It was their first game. Yes, this is the first game Double Fine Productions ever developed, and it was published by Majesco Entertainment. An interesting thing to note: this game was originally going to be published by Microsoft Game Studios. But they had, I guess, some rocky
Rocky Road ice
development.
cream.
I don't know if they were pushing for things. I think they were going in different directions there, so there ended up being kind of a fallout between the two. So it was going to be an Xbox exclusive originally, but it ended up landing on the PS2 as well, and that was actually ported, and it was developed with help of Budcat Creations, helped port it to the PS2, which I guess infamously has some
Problems.
hiccups. Yeah, kind of like a Bayonetta situation, right? Where it got kind of ported by a different studio and has a little bit of problems with the port. But it has since been re-released on multiple platforms. You can get it on Windows, OS X. You could download it, I believe, on Xbox One through backwards compatibility, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's on PS4 through backwards compatibility. So it's,
Right. So it's been re-released. Double Fine was able to I guess get the publishing rights to re-release it back in 2011. So it's readily available now for people to play, and good timing because there's finally going to be a sequel for this game after a very long time.
There's already kind of a sequel.
Already kind of is on the VR. Right?
Yeah, I played that one, but
Oh, you did. Oh, nice.
How was it?
it's good. It's funny because it picks up the end of the game is sort of like a hey, we're going off to our next adventure. It picks up immediately after. So actually Psychonauts 2 I think they resolved that whole thing in the VR game. So Psychonauts 2 might be a whole new thing, which is really interesting.
Are you sure? Because from what I saw, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
You're going into you're going into the brains of it's a thing.
I thought it was just kind of like a bridge, right?
You're
It's
going
just a
into
bridge.
Yeah.
You're going.
I just didn't expect it
Tim-
to be
Tim
like
Schafer.
part of the narrative was the thing that surprised me most, I think. But it's a really cool VR game. It's well suited. The world of Psychonauts is well suited with telekinesis and all that stuff. But anyways.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, it sounds dope. I'm jealous now. I kind of want to play it.
Right, yeah. It's like one of those things. I don't know if I'll ever be able to play it because I don't know if I'll ever have PSVR. Maybe one day when it's bargain bin cheap, which is getting cheaper. But anyway, I picked this game. It was my turn for this week, and I chose Psychonauts because it's a game that I always wanted to play, never got around to. Usually the reason why I end up picking a game. But I felt like right now was just the right time with the sequel coming up in 2019. I just felt like it was a real good time to finally get around to putting my foot down and being like, I'm playing Psychonauts finally. And I gotta say, I am glad that I did.
Yeah, it was a good pick.
Yeah, it was definitely really good.
Very glad that I did. I've always heard, it's got a cult following. Definitely a cult classic. Did not sell well when it first came out.
No.
What a shame.
At all. In fact, it would, caused Majesco to drop out of the game business for a short while. They're back. They've done a lot since then. Pretty decent company now. Not a huge name, but they did like Cooking Mama and some other random crap. So, they're back. Well, Cooking Mama is a pretty successful series.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Some otr random crap was the thing that made me laugh. Yeah, because the thing
is fine off nowadays, but you got to feel bad, right, for Double Fine, because they made one hell of a game, especially for their first outing, and for it to really cause so much financial ruin to Majesco, who had, I guess, probably faith in them, kind of picked them up after the Microsoft whole falling out thing, kind of sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean, the story of Psychonauts, I think there's a documentary. When Double Fine was doing all the stuff with Broken Age, they did a lot of, like, their history of stuff. And, like, Majesco was not flush with cash at the time when they took on Psychonauts, and so they didn't have, like, a ton of support. But the one thing they did was they were like, we're going to print a ton of copies. And because the game only sold, like, 100,000 units when it came out, they had a bunch of copies sitting around, which is even worse than just a game not selling well. Is we spent money making, producing, and shipping, and we're not making that money back. Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that sort of was the story of Double Fine for a long time. Was sort of like, this happened with Psychonauts, then Brutal Legend. EA's like, we're gonna get Jack Black, we're gonna get all these, metal like icons. We're gonna pay for marketing. We're gonna get you on the Tonight Show, and then it comes out and the game does like not great, right? And so like, they were smart and they sort of transitioned to making more indie-ish type games, right? Like
Xbox Live Arcade games that they kind of transitioned to. Costume Quest, Stacking, Iron Brigade, I think was one.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah,
that's a good game.
And then they're sort of the biggest thing they've done since is sort of announcing Psychonauts 2. Like that's they're getting back on the
right. Well, they got a good deal, I guess, with like some being able to remake some LucasArts games.
Yes,
because they did Grim Fandango and Day of the Tentacle, I think. Mm-hmm. So they struck a pretty good deal.
Which were games that Tim Schafer worked on. Like that's sort of the whole pitch of why they put his name out there at the start with Psychonauts, was that he had made a bunch of the LucasArts games that people liked a lot, or he worked on, and so they were sort of the thing of like, hey, I get to get my own studio where my name is to be out there, and he's he was one of the first game developers I even knew, like keeping track of games, because they put him out there a lot.
Yeah,
and he has that like quirky brand where like everything is like dark humor, kind of quirky, kind of what you wouldn't expect from anything. Yeah,
and this shines through in Psychonauts. It shines through in spades.
Oh,
that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. I loved that game when I played it before.
So. Yeah, you played this game before, right? You said, Saf, prior to me picking it, and so did Will. I think Meals and Noah, this was our first time playing it. Mm-hmm. We had some people who played it in the past, people who were first time. So I think this is like one of the first times for the Game Club, right? That's really happened, where like almost like half of us have played it, half of us haven't.
Yeah.
Well, this is like a pretty famous game.
It is, yeah.
It is. Yeah. I mean, the closest we got was like Earthbound, where like I think all of us had played Earthbound in some format or another before.
Right.
But really fast, I want to give a little shout out because Schafer did a lot of the writing. And once I heard about this like a couple of years ago, it made sense. The other guy, Eric Wolf-Paul, went on to do a lot of the writing for Portal, and you sort of like you're like,
that makes sense.
The writing kind of lines up. That like kind of dry, like sort of macabre sense of humor that's in both these games. You're like, oh, that's
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell. The humor is great. It's one of the strong suits. So I just want to get with kind of explain the game. It is a platformer. Mm-hmm. It's like a kind of an adventure platform game.
3D platformer.
Yeah, 3D platformer. Because it on the PS2, Xbox, 3D platformer.
Sort of like a Banjo-Kazooie type game.
In a way, it's so weird. There's not a lot like it, for sure. At least back then, definitely. you play as Raz, or as Rasputin is his full name. So he is a kid with, gifted with psychic abilities, and he wants to test these psychic abilities out. So he goes to a summer camp where they're training. It's more like a government assisted summer camp where they're training soldiers, children to become soldiers, known as Psychonauts. And Raz is all about psychic powers. He thinks it's super cool. He read, the Psychonauts had their own comic book series, right? I guess in the canon here.
Yeah.
And he was really interested in it. So he's in love with the Psychonauts. Ran away from home to join this summer camp. Kind of broke in, and they accepted him. And it's kind of where it starts off. As you're Raz, and you broke into summer camp. So you got to start by doing the basic training stuff, which is the tutorial, and then it just leads into a whole fun mess of all sorts of other stuff
from there. Yeah,
and in the fun. You said what?
Basic braining.
Basic brain.
Yeah, and I like that the joke is sort of like, I'm going to go run away from home and join the circus, but Raz's family is from the circus, so they're running away from the circus.
Yes, he hates the circus, as you see through it. You play the game. He kind of despises his upbringing and where he came from. It's really cool. Now all the main levels, because you have the hub world, which is like the summer camp. But then, like, the main missions of the levels you go through, basically you're going into somebody else's mind. That's the level. And it's really cool because it really sets that up to have very unique, level designs, right?
Yes.
All the levels are very different because you're going into somebody else's psyche. And you start off by, going through... some of the people that the camp counselors and et cetera, the Psychonauts, and eventually, you could go to a mental ward and you have to go through all these crazy people's brains, which is really fun because you almost like help them out, right? They're in a psychic ward and you figure out what is their deep emotional, like, what's wrong with, their psyche, and you help them and you fix it, which I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were really inventive. Like, I mean, all the environments were really, really inventive, but those were like, they were inventive, and they had like a little story twist to them and stuff like that. It was really sweet.
They all provided unique, like, kind of a gameplay, like a different gameplay, like, narrative, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of it, is that they sort of said in interviews that, like, it was really inspired by, like, 80s movies, right? Like, and it has that sort of vibe to it of like E.T. and stuff like that, and there's this really wonderful escalation with the game as it goes on, because, like, you start off with, like, the coach Oleander and the two agents, Nine and Vodello, and, like, they're taking you through their mind, essentially, right? Like, you're doing, like, where obstacle courses, essentially. But then once you cross the Rubicon, you go with the Lungfish mission. That's when you're, like, genuinely working to, like, you have to apply the stuff you learned earlier in real crisis situations, and it's a cool escalation with each level that builds up over time. And then, the last level tying into both Oleander and to Raz, like the final level is sort of Raz going against his own stuff, is like a really cool escalation.
In the most bizarre way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like him dealing with his own emotional baggage, like, as well as dealing with the main villain at the same time, and like them kind of meshing together. Which was a cool way to present, like, the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, and also, like, you said emotional baggage, but, like, they're very cheeky with, like, the way that everything is in the brain levels, where it's like, figments of your imagination, or like the little collectibles you pick up, right? Like mental cobwebs, where, like, you sort of like, I just can't think this through.
Literally emotional baggage.
I love how clever the writing is. Like, everything about the writing is fantastic to me. And you mentioned, Will mentioned previously, like, he ran away from the circus, and that was kind of clever. It also works on another level, and the fact that it kind of has some it explains some in-game context. It's like, oh, Raz can just do acrobats and shit like that, and it makes sense, because he was from the circus. Like,
she was trained.
Yeah, it makes more sense than, your normal 3D platformer that can do all that crazy stuff. At least, it gives him a backstory of why he can, like, flip from pole to pole and jump.
Why is this tubby plumber so acrobatic?
Yeah. Why can he do triple jumps? What is this?
Yeah.
When does he need this?
The writing has always been top notch, and the references they made is also really, really clever as well. Like, I love the I love the references they made to like movies like spy stuff with the Milkman and like the Lungfish one, where it's like all my past in regards to like Godzilla movies were just flashing back to me. It's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, those worlds were fantastic. I really, really loved Lungfishopolis. And all the like news briefings that would come in. It was like a
in between.
Every time you would get a little bit further in level, like a breaking news prompt would come up, and it'd be hilarious.
And because they had been brainwashed, they all view you as this awful monster, and Oleander is like this like saving hero. That makes for a funny bit.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, and you're just like busting down buildings and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's super cool.
Like we alluded to, like it's just fundamentally, it's cool that it's that thing where the game is doing two things at once. Like it's giving you both a platforming challenge, but when you finish each challenge, like if you collect all the mental baggage, if you get all the safes, like you learn more about that character. And then there's even just like one of my favorite weird things is in what's her name, Videla, the disco lady. Yeah. Like there's that one weird side room that if you go in there. Like, because you see in her backstory that, like, she used to work in an orphanage, and then it just cuts, and suddenly she's being a disco girl, and you're like, what happened to the orphanage? And this inside room, it's where she's locked away, that, like, her orphanage burned down, and she couldn't save the kids, and they all died in a fire. And then, like, and they're, like, still screaming, and she's like, you shouldn't be in here. This is not a place where you were supposed to be. Like, I don't let people see this. And you're like, oh, man, like, that's so cool. Like...
That got really dark really fast.
Yes, out of nowhere.
A lot of those vaults, when you open them up and you flipping through the pages, seeing their backstory, almost all of them are like, you're like, damn, I feel for this person, right?
Yeah, they're real tragic.
Yeah, they don't like shy away from going into dark places for sure. Like even though it's like a kid's aesthetic sort of, like the animation stuff. Yeah, it's all very pretty dark.
The aesthetic is cartoonish, but they still kind of look gruesome. Like that's what I kind of like a lot about the visuals about it. Like it's one of those things that I mentioned previously. Like Tim Burton would like go, "Wow, that's kind of freaky." It's that sort of visual art style, which I find kind of nice.
Definitely. Yeah. Like looking at like the bully, right? He's got this really long neck. Yeah. His teeth are all over the place.
Not good gum health on him.
No, the kids are all like very unique in design. Yeah. They're very cool. I like all the different. It's crazy too because all the different kids in the camp all have unique personalities and walking around.
And they did
a
really good job with the voice acting too. That made it distinguishable even more.
Fantastic voice acting. I love it.
Yeah, you see them throughout the world doing just, stuff. As you progress through the game, they'll be in different spots doing different things. Mm-hmm. But they're always there. They each have their own kind of like arc that they're going through. If you follow along, if you talk to them.
Yeah. And they're not always like tied into Raz. Like they just sort of happen separately, and I like that. I like when you aren't the center of the universe. You're just
They're not like static NPCs. They're all like doing their own thing every time you finish a level or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really cool to just check up on them and see. Okay, even like relationships develop like between them too. Yeah, like these two kids like fall in love. Like you're like, what the hell? What? There's a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm. Especially because it's funny because we mentioned the summer camp thing, but like basically halfway through, everyone's gone from the camp. Like it sort of goes in a sort of a 90-degree turn because the bad guy is stealing kids. He's making them sneeze out their brains. And then, and like trying to put them in like these like machines that they can use for like an army, right? Yeah. But it is funny because like at that point you're sort of like, oh man, like it's kind of weird to go through the camp and it's just empty, right? Like and like it slowly fills back up as you find more of their brains and bring them back, and it's a cool you get to see the place be restored because of your actions, which makes it more fulfilling.
It definitely ramps up the tension. Like you're like, at a point you're like, oh shit, like everything's different now. Like I gotta save all my camp friends and shit. Like even if they're not your friends, I just wanted to save everybody. Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, I did. I saved all of them. I found all the brains. They weren't that hard to find.
No, which is good.
Well, and that really big levels, there was like 2 of them that were hard to find. I don't know if you remember that.
There was a couple that were hard to find.
Yeah.
The last one I had to like backtrack, so I was like, I'm still missing. It was the little kid with the tinfoil hat. I missed
Dogen.
his. Yeah, he was great.
I love.
And I was like, no, I missed Dogen. I gotta go back and save him. He's like the most important one.
Yeah.
I love Dogen. Just constantly like, the squirrels are telling me to kill everyone. I don't want to. You're like,
Yeah.
what a guy.
He does some pretty dark things really early on.
Yeah. He does.
So, mentioning the game, obviously all the psychic abilities. Raz does not go at it alone. He has, as the game goes on, he develops more, but he has plenty of psychic abilities himself. You have pyrokinesis, I think one of the first ones you get, where you can just light things on fire, which is every kid's dream, right?
Yeah.
To go around lighting everything on fire. Levitation, which I think is my favorite personally.
It is the
most useful one. Makes platforming easy. You go on a levitation ball and you can bounce around and you go faster on it. You can jump higher.
He basically triples the height of your jump, and you can float.
Yeah, you can slow your descent.
Glide, rather.
Very helpful, that one. You also get telekinesis by, just picking stuff up with your brain and hucking things around.
That was annoying to get used to. Like, in the training level, for some reason, it glitched out on me, and I couldn't grab, like, the thing to throw through the hoop.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
It was weird, but eventually get used to it, but it's hard to get used to.
I mean, just in general, for the aiming, could be a little bit better, because they have you use it a lot in boss fights, like...
Yeah.
It's
Like, during certain boss fights, the bosses are, like, relentless, and they keep attacking you, so you have to be really quick with it.
Yeah.
Especially the one in the Milkman conspiracy.
Yeah, that fucking woman that sends out the bombs.
Yeah, that one.
That was annoying.
The aiming on that one was really annoying, because you have to aim through her eyes.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
Oh, I just didn't. You could just laser her. You could just shoot her with a laser. And
What?
Fine. Yeah. Just
What laser?
fucking.
Wish I knew that earlier. Fucking hell.
Yeah, you don't need to use telekinesis like all the time.
Which is
like,
weird because I usually just laser them, but they're usually immune to it.
Oh, laser. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the fucking eye beams.
Yeah,
I can't remember
yeah.
what the power was.
Yeah, because that's one of the cool things is you get all these powers. You also have invisibility. You can turn yourself invisible. You get all these different powers, and sometimes you can tackle some of the boss battles or the fights in different ways. You don't have to do it in the same way. You can use your abilities to however you want, which is cool.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a nice bit of freedom there. Like they want you.
Yeah,
to
I like the
think
shield one that gives me some breathing space. The fucking enemies don't stop attacking me.
And can I just say, the boss fights? I don't know why, but I miss those types of boss fights where it's just completely varied and it's just completely fresh and unique. Like, it feels like I've never experienced that in a long time, which is weird. Like, it kind of feels nostalgic a little bit, and I really, really enjoy all those fights, every single one of them. It was incredible.
Well,
Yeah, I like that you have to
Psychonauts
use like certain abilities to unlock their weakness to be able to damage them. I like that part.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to do it, otherwise you can't really win.
Yeah, the bosses were all very unique and honestly, none of them were frustrating. They were all, figure out, use your abilities to figure it out, and honestly, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed all the boss fights, and they were cool. They all range from really menacing, especially near the end of the game, to just kind of cool looking. You had to fight wrestlers, which was fun.
Yeah,
in a bowl. And speaking of that level had my favorite aesthetic of the entire game.
Oh yeah, that was gorgeous.
I loved it. the neon, running of the bull.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, it was just really cool. I loved how, it was almost like everything was under a black light, and it was just really cool to look at.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty sweet, and I really liked the story arc of that whole level. Like, the guy's like, he's like a famous painter or whatever, and he's just like bemoaning his girlfriend being taken by this famous bullfighter, but then you find out that it's really not that. He's just hyped it up in his mind so much over the years that
he's still not over their high school crush, and you're like,
it's so funny.
Yeah. And then the ones where it's like, help, I'm being possessed by the ghost of Napoleon Bonaparte, who's my great ancestor, and like,
That one was crazy too, because all of a sudden it's like you're playing a board game.
Yeah.
Which
it's super clever.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that's personally my least favorite, the board game one.
My least favorite was the one with the plays.
That was my least favorite.
Yeah, that was annoying.
That was kind of
well, not annoying, but like not that interesting.
Because you had to keep switching the stage things. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah, you just had to get the stage setting with the lighting with the right, and you just had to go through them. And every time you did, it like showed a stupid cutscene. Which honestly, the cutscenes in that, to me personally, weren't that entertaining.
No. They were the most meh of any of them, and like there also just wasn't very much to like explore or traverse. Like it's one. I think it's like
it all takes place in like one theater,
level. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that one and the levitation, the one where you get the levitation power, were my least.
Oh yeah. Well, I like the aesthetic of that one. That one, like the Soul Train aesthetic.
Oh, I liked that. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Well.
The disco level. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in that, using that levitation, learning how to use that. Like.
Yeah.
But the thing about levitation being a ball is that you can't really control it that well.
Nah.
When you're moving at fast speed, so. It kind of messes you up sometimes.
It has like a Luigi thing where like you're sort of sliding whenever you want to change directions.
Which is a fair trade-off for being able to go faster and jump higher.
Yeah.
I guess. I won't complain too much about it. It wasn't that bad.
So there was a couple weeks ago when we were doing the Oddworld podcast, I mentioned previously that I can't wait for you to get to this one particular part. And the reason why I mentioned that previously was because you were talking about how frustrating the latter part of Oddworld is. And it's like, I cannot wait for you to get to this
for meat
fucking
circus.
part.
The last level has a part that's extremely frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Because your controls literally stop working. Like your double jump for some reason gets disabled, and it's not supposed to.
It makes no sense.
That part, it was very odd with the fences. The rest of that part wasn't that difficult. It was just that one part that I got hung up on.
I didn't like
the thing is, like, it's not your fault. You can't get past it, and then you get frustrated because you lose all your life because you can't figure out why your controls aren't working, and then you have to redo the whole level again when you run out of lives.
Yeah.
I
remember me was so frustrated by that fucking level when I was just so annoying.
It's weird.
Well,
it
starts off. It starts off with like you chasing the kid with the bunny, like little Ollie.
Yeah.
And that part is annoying as shit already. Because those enemies attack so fast and
I mean, I like the whole concept and the idea of the level itself.
Yeah, so do I.
But the actual the controls aren't as flexible or accurate enough for you to be able to go through that without frustration.
Yeah.
I think it's just the fact that the double jump didn't work. That was like the most frustrating part.
But it also required some really precision landing and jumping when it came to the tight ropes too.
Yeah, and also the when the guys were throwing the knives at the board.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That's
I love that idea that he actually creates the platforms when he throws the projectile.
Yeah.
But you have to be super quick because there's water rising.
Yeah.
So it's a time attack level where you have to run through the platforms fast. You have to do fast platforming.
Yeah.
But you also with that guy the only way to get up is to create these platforms by him throwing the knife so you can swing on it to get above. But there's a spinning wheel as well. So if you miss the jump, you have to wait till it gets down or create another one when he throws a knife. In the meantime, he won't stop attacking unless you hit him. But if you hit him, he won't create another platform, so you have to wait for the actual knives to come down. It's just,
Yeah, and you need to be swinging to get enough momentum to like make those jumps comfortably because of the fact that your stuff is your double jump strange. I mean, it's funny because it's essentially just sort of 2 rooms, right? Like, they're big, but there's that first part with you helping keep track of little Ollie, and then there's the part with your dad, like, testing your acrobat stuff, right? Where
Well, and there was the part in between with, like, a giant grind rail.
Yeah, I didn't like that rail.
No. But
I feel like they just threw it in there just to be like, remember, we have rail gliding, guys. And they just did a little fun thing.
But it's funny because
use that mechanic. Like, it only appeared in like a couple of levels, and that was it.
Rail grinding was a thing. Sonic Adventure 2, Psychonauts, everyone wanted to grind rails.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I realized that when your dad throws like the spikes at you on that later part, you can just take those hits no problem. They do like no damage.
I just didn't care after a while. Because I had so much health, I was just like, fuck
and the
off.
Bosses too that you had to fight, because you had to fight, I don't know,
The
you
butcher.
had to fight like his dad and your dad, and then like them combined, and those were actually fun. I liked those boss battles in that. And the last boss was super easy, but like it was really cool. You know, it was just empowering to beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
I was so glad after that fucking jump.
Right. You're so glad to get to that, and you're like, okay, now I can just beat the shit out of this guy. He's been pissing me off. That felt good. It was really like the final level. Really was the only like blemish for me, like in the whole game, like actual blemish. It was just kind of like randomly it took a hit in like level design and difficulty. The difficulty spiked hard, and the level design got a little like, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily terrible, but it was just not good. Not up
It was
to par
interesting
with the rest of the game.
and like nicely designed, but it was poorly executed.
That hiccup with the controls, it was just it was just asking too much of you. Well, like the game couldn't support it.
What a shame.
So
I do like that because it was continuing, like they said, like, you know, with Spielbergian, like we're making this type of thing, that it always comes back to your dad, just like all of his movies always do. It always comes back to the end of the day, what is my relationship with my father? And and it made me laugh because it's one of those things that's like, it's a nice way also to like have like the bad guy and Raz, like we said, you know, fusing together. And it's also cool because if you go back and you look at those opening areas with the circus wagon in the very beginning of the game, like some plants randomly have meat on them, right?
Yeah.
And there's little hints of what is to come at the end, where like already like Oleander sort of like exerting some influence on Raz, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that's cool little hinting that would come down the line.
Yeah.
It's got a good ending with, you know, him and his dad finally settling things, and then it's got the cool setup for the second game, which
It's on
is very
PSVR.
cool. It was very fun.
Him and Lily are they're it was
Thing.
Lily's
funny.
so thirsty, man. Jeez. God damn.
It's funny because like a couple of years ago, I was watching a guy stream Psychonauts, who I watch on Twitch, and he got to that part where they like kiss at the end, and he's like, you know, this is cute, but those are 2 gross-looking kids. And I was like, yeah, like they are.
Yeah.
They're kind of just these weird freako-looking people, but that's part of the charm.
Lily has no nose. She's got the Krillin thing going on.
It's true, which is funny because she's like sneezing and gets a cold, and you're like, what are you sneezing from?
Also, shout out to Peter McConnell, who did the music for this game.
Yeah, Doc.
Yeah, the music.
I really enjoyed.
He did a bunch of Sly Cooper stuff and a bunch of Double Fine stuff. So like he has a good track record to go back and like listen to.
I always loved going back to the actual campsite and listening to the songs there, because it was like an incredibly weird contrast to Raz's like ideals, or like mythical super heroic kind of like vision of what this camp or training site is supposed to be. Like he expects it to be something to achieve greatness and next level of like becoming a super psychonaut and shit like that. And the music for the campsite is just like really dull, dreary, and just like basic. Like
I mean, it's like a summer camp, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of the fun. It's just like it's a normal summer camp where also they're doing a bunch of weird, crazy psychic stuff.
I just love that so much, and I just love going back and listen to that track because it just fits so well into like the type of game they're trying to make.
Yeah, and I mean, Noah mentioned it, but like the main voice actor for Raz is the guy who does Zim in Invader Zim.
Yeah, Invader Zim and Daggett from Angry Beavers.
Yeah, and he does a great job. Like, like we already said, but like the voice acting is really like it's one of those things. It's like, man, like it's cool that you feel like all these characters are thought out, right? Like, I remember watching that documentary. He said Tim Schafer talked about. He's like at the time Friendster was a big thing. I know that makes me sound old, but I met my wife on Friendster. So like the way I wrote the characters was I was like, what would their Friendster profile look like? What would be the things they would want to show about themselves? And that's the stuff that I would want to highlight in the little interactions, the cutscenes, because a lot of the camp people don't get like a ton of screen time, so you need to get their character traits across immediately, basically. Yeah. And I thought that was a cute little way to like get a list of all the different attributes of all the characters and sort of help you learn them. It was neat.
Yeah, it is really neat. Like, they really flesh out a lot of characters. And we didn't even talk about him, too, but the head of the Psychonauts, too, the old guy. I can't even remember his name.
Ford Cruller.
Yeah. Cruller, yeah. He was hilarious, man. He's great. He was great. And then I loved his whole thing with, he had a huge psychic battle, but, kind of ripped his psyche apart. And he has to stay underground for him to retain it. But if he goes above ground, he just becomes like a janitor. And, you see him above ground, doing, the janitor stuff around the camp, cooking burgers and, cleaning urinals or whatever he's doing. Your first time you see him, you think, oh, just some crazy old guy that works here at the camp. But, eventually you get to find out that he's the leader of the Psychonauts, or not the leader, but one of the biggest Psychonauts of all time.
Best of the best.
Yeah, it's just really cool. I love him. He's fun. The acting is great.
Like
big fan.
The general quirkiness of everything in the game, like just like the villain's main like goal is like to put brains inside tanks.
Yeah,
and then like that whole battle between him and Raz, where you you break into his tank, like you fight him as a brain in a tank, and then you break into the tank to try to get him, and then it's filled with sneezing powder so that you sneeze your own brain out. Like, your brain has to jump into the tank to. Oh man, it's fucking crazy. Like, who thinks of this? It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That was the cool thing with with both of their brains in the same tank, and that's how the final level comes about with you're going through both of their minds at the same time.
A battle of the minds.
Oh man,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with Ford. I mean, he sort of like is this little example of the overarching thing where it's like both funny, but like when you think about it, it's like also deeply sad. Like, this dude is like, he can only like actually be himself like in this like one specific situation where his brain still works, and like with that comes connotations of real life stuff when it comes to old age and like mental faculties,
Alzheimer's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it is this thing though, this like it's both funny and also like kind of deeply sad, and like there's a lot of parts to this where the lungfish like is both funny but also like kind of sad.
So sad when you see his backstory.
It's all over the place. Like Raz running away from home. It's like, oh man, this is kind of funny but sad. It's like the whole. It's infused without the whole narrative.
And also the goddamn turtle with the.
Oh god. And Shigor, god.
Yeah, that whole thing was just crazy.
Shigor's the most Tim Burton character. Like you can like see her straight up in like Frank and Weenie the movie,
Yeah. She loved that turtle.
She loved. That's Sarah Strong, I think, right? Like,
I'm not sure.
I think it is.
But
it sounds like.
Yeah, it's all the characters. Yeah, they definitely all had they're definitely all funny, but all at the same time you feel bad for these people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're very vibrant.
Yeah,
they are
very broken though.
Vibrant and dark at the same time. They do such a good job at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it does have that thing in common with Oddworld, where like, I don't know if this is like one of the greatest games of all time or whatever, right? But you can see why it's someone's favorite game, right? Like it has these traits that you look at and you say like, man, you can see why, especially if this is you at the right time, the right age, like you get super attached to this world and to this type of narrative and story in a way that like, you know, you just it sticks with you and you think about it a lot.
For sure,
cool.
yeah.
I gotta say, you know, you look back and you think, damn, it sucks that this game didn't sell well, being, you know, how good it is. But, you know, nowadays it's well known, right? People know about this game, and I'm glad, you know, it got a second chance.
I mean, I think they said in that documentary that like they sold, they're almost up to 2 million copies of Psychonauts sold, and like we said, 1.9 million of that came like after the year 2010, basically, when they were able to put this on digital platforms, like when they got the rights back. So like clearly, you know, the profile of the game has risen as there's been access to it, you know.
And with the internet and word of mouth,
Yeah.
and you know how cult classics get blown up nowadays, you know, people are aware of these things, and it's good to see, you know, it get its due.
Yeah, I agree.
So, any final statements, real quick? Anything else that we forgot to talk about that you guys want to mention?
Did we talk that much about the Milkman conspiracy world?
Do you want to talk about?
Not too
This
much.
being the best
which I mean,
world.
I think somebody said it was their favorite one, right?
It's really good. Oh man, it's like so surreal, and like everything going on there is like so crazy.
Yeah, lots of cool little details.
Yeah.
It's also funny
So
because
much.
it's like the most like adventure gamey level in the game, right? Because there's a lot of like you have to get this thing and take it to this guy, and then that'll activate this thing. You take this item to this person,
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it,
you're
Sorry.
always trying to fool those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just,
Yes.
Like those investigators.
I just,
With the stop
those
sign
guys
and
are
all that
great.
I love that they're just trying to blend in with everything, and it's just the most obvious that they're not, but they act like they are.
yeah.
and just using the ability to see like how all of them perceive you, right, is really cool.
Yeah, whatever item you're holding, they actually perceive you as that because they're dumb enough to think their disguises are working, so they look at you like, oh, here's an actual construction worker. Yeah, come in, friend.
They have so many silly lines of dialogue. It's fantastic. It's so good.
They do. They really do. It's just funny, Raz, you know, when you hold the stop sign and he almost sarcastically is like, I'm a construction worker now. Let me in.
This is
And
my
they're just
stop
like,
sign.
yeah, here's my stop sign. Welcome, fellow construction worker.
Yeah,
It's good. It's funny.
It's really good.
I just need to know if the rest, because I was talking to Brandon about this, and I want to know if the rest of you noticed it. But did you notice the mailboxes following you whenever you're not looking at them?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Brandon didn't notice that. And I was wondering, it's like,
I didn't even notice it. no.
yeah, I was just wondering, it's like, if that
Oh my
was
God.
usually visible.
That level too, I almost lost it when you get to the part with the Girl Scout who's sniping all the agents.
Yeah.
And you go up there and she fucking jumps out. And she jumps out of the building and lands on the ground like half dead, like she's dying. This girl is crippled, little Girl Scout, and the agents go up to her, and she fucking is, I don't remember what one-liner she spits, but she has a Girl Scout cookie box, it has this beeping, and it just blows up and kills them all. Like what the fuck?
It's so crazy. Like, the interplay with the Girl Scouts and those investigator guys. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to find the milkman. It's so funny.
Yeah, oh my god, good shit. I did not expect that. I did not expect to see a little Girl Scout jumping out of a window and then just blowing herself up to take a bunch of agents with her. I was like, what? At that point is when I said, what is this game rated again?
You remember when the Girl Scouts fight the investigator guys? What the fuck are they called? The trench coat guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my god.
That's so
I
good.
even at one point in that game, in that level, heard a guy just go, like, he's just like, I like big breasts. I was like, what? Who said this?
He's a construction worker, that's why.
Like,
Oh man, it's great.
and it's so I do partially love that like this has become this cult classic because you get to like have all these interviews with like they talk about the milkman level and like where that came from and stuff, And I love that there was one that Schaefer gave back to like GameSpot, I think it was, where he's like, where the original plan for Psychonauts was that you were going to be an ostrich with psychic powers, that Raz was going to be an ostrich. And they had a whole idea where they were going to move with the left stick and like peck with the right stick. And then they were like, wait a minute, like people don't want to play a game as an ostrich. What am I doing? Like no one can. Games are wish fulfillment and no one's like, I can't wait to live as an insane ostrich. But like, it's that type of just like off the wall, just like, hey, we're just gonna throw it out there and like see what sticks. Like that sort of makes the game be unique and special even now.
Yeah.
Damn, I want an ostrich level now.
Maybe we'll get an homage to that in Psychonauts too.
I hope so.
The dream.
Yeah. The Milkman level though was definitely like 100% inspired by like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. But very good, very very good shit. It might be the best level in the game.
Yeah, it's
I
super
consider
cool.
it my favorite as well. It's really, really
And
good.
like the weird way that all the streets are like floating around like that. It's
like a twisty
Yeah.
suburb kind of. Yeah.
It gave me like a little bit like Mario Galaxy vibes for a second there, where because it's like these weird planetoids and then like the way it twists. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I can't like do 360. Why? This is duh. This doesn't make any sense. But it gave me those vibes.
All right, guys. So, time to move on to recommendations. Since I picked the game, I'm gonna start with me. Yes, definitely. I would definitely recommend this game. If you have not played it, please do. I'm glad I finally did. Get ready for the sequel by playing this one. And if you got a VR headset, you can even play the middleman kind of sequel, the 1.5.
Rhombus of Ruin.
Pre-sequel. Will.
Yeah, man. Like, a little word to the wise, we mentioned it at the start, but like, the PS2 version will work, but like, if you can pick up like either the Xbox or the PC version, but no matter what, it's still very fun, just romp. And it's not particularly long either, is the nice thing too, like it doesn't overstay its welcome. So like, yes, would heavily recommend.
Yeah, like 12 or 13 hours, I think is how long it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. Noah?
Yeah, definitely play. It's a really fun game, very humorous, entertaining. I played the PS2 version. There were indeed some frame rate issues here and there, like the last tower, like in the Psych Ward, the Salem. I noticed like the frame dropped quite a bit. It was slowing down, but other than that, yeah, you definitely try it out and play it. It's a fun game.
Okay. Saf?
Yeah, this is my third time playing this game. This is fucking great. That's all I gotta say. This is a fantastic game. And like everyone else echoes the exact same sentiments. There's so much else to add.
Right. Hills?
Oh yeah, 100%. I would definitely recommend this game. The other thing we didn't talk about was that how fun it is to collect the things that you find in the world. Like a lot of collectathon type games, it's really not that fun. But this game really pulls it off. Like they have these closed like. It's an open environment, but they're closed off, self-contained sections. So it's really good like that. I mean, I found that really, really fun to play. So yeah, definitely, and it's very inventive, like we said.
Yeah. Yeah, the collectibles were fun. They weren't like none of them were like extremely hidden, other than like really the scavenger hunt stuff. But that's meant to be hidden.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're fun to collect. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun to collect. It's fun to traverse around the world too. It makes it easier and more fun to collect stuff. So, all right. Well, now it's time for Psychonauts to become part of the list. I'm gonna start because I picked this game and I gotta figure out where I want to put it. We said a lot of good things, so. Lots of high praise, but I think Will said it. I don't remember exact words that he said, but something along the lines of, might not be the best game ever made, right? So it's not going to be number one. I can tell you.
Oh wow! Don't see that coming.
What a scoop!
But I think it might be, one of the best club games that we played.
Yeah, definitely.
So. Looking at the list and looking at some of the other games that we've played for the club, I would put Psychonauts. Maybe. See, here's the thing. I have not played a lot of Okami, but
Oh boy.
I'm thinking around there.
All right.
You
Like
read my
maybe-
fucking mind.
Or maybe right below Okami.
You used your Psychonaut powers to read my mind.
I did it. See, we're on the same page, Jules. We're one and the same. We're gonna throw our brains into a fucking tank
Big
full
old
of.
jar.
We're gonna meld them together.
Let's do it right now.
I wanna.
So yeah, that's where I'm feeling. I don't know how you guys are feeling. Well, I know how Ills was feeling because I read his
I wanna
mind.
put up a
Put it up.
band.
No.
Yeah.
What? Ooh,
No.
Okay. I mean, I want to put it above Ghost Trick, but
So do I. But no, Ghost
I don't
Trick's
wanna
coming
put
down.
it above Donkey Kong Country 2.
No, yeah. Listen, the Ghost Trick problem will be short-lived if we temporarily
Also, you can
put it
follow
above
along
it.
to see the list
Short-lived.
yourself with the pastement below.
Yeah, Facebook.
you know
thank
what we're
No,
talking
Thank
about.
you. Thank you. Check the pastement in the description.
The Ghost Trick problem, it will be resolved.
It will be resolved,
Yeah.
and
I
I
wouldn't-
don't think it should be above DKC2. I don't think that.
I don't think
100%
that either.
It should be above DKC too.
I think I agree with below Okami, to be honest.
I wanted above Okami.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I see that. That's the thing. I have only barely played Okami, so I'm okay with putting it above Okami. I know it's on my list of games to play, but I'll play that, and then maybe I'll agree or disagree. So right now, I'm okay with putting it above Okami.
What?
Noah, where are you at?
I was looking around the 30s, honestly.
Damn.
I mean, it's weird, because we enter this problem again of the game that can never be placed properly, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
That's the thing. I don't start from the top. I start from the bottom. As soon as I start hitting like a group of games that I don't think it surpassed, that's when I feel the field is right.
Which game do you think it has a hard time beating?
So I don't think it should go. Actually, should it? Past Awakening.
I mean, Fire Emblem Awakening is really good. I get where you're coming from.
Kid Icarus, I obviously don't have much to say about. Phoenix Wright is a tough one. Golden Sun is a tough one. But other than that, I think, yeah, I wouldn't put it below 35.
Damn, that's a huge range.
This is a big range.
Between 20 to 35.
It's been a minute since we've had a range like this.
I don't know. I feel like I'm holding firm at above
Whatever,
Okami.
I'll meet you down
feel like
above
that's-
Okami.
I feel like that's a good place for it.
I'll meet you guys down above Okami. There's like 5. It's like 3 against 2, and 2 of them being diametrically opposed to each other. So.
Because the difference between 30 and 20 is not that big, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I think Okami. I really like Okami a whole lot. Is my
I
own.
say that in terms of quality, not
Yeah.
in terms of number.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
I say. Yeah. There are some parts of Okami that are like still. I still feel super strongly about. I don't know. It's interesting because I do love Psychonauts a lot too. I played this
It's
game 3 times, so clearly.
it's
I
weird
like it a lot.
because, like, with Okami, like, I'm more impressed with what they did, like the quality of the game. Like, they went for the very unique art style. The whole drawing mechanic is very cool, and like the story is really cool. The characters are interesting. But with Psychonauts, it's a lot more humorous, a lot more entertaining. The levels like are more enjoyable. They're fun to explore. You have the collectibles. So overall, as a package, I feel Psychonauts is more enjoyable, whereas Okami is more impressive. You know what I mean?
Sure, I feel you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's 3-2 and you guys all want it above Okami, then you know, ain't much doing. But like the parts of Okami where like the ground, like you reclaim the land when you do the blossoms and like that whole sequence, you're just like, man, like that's still among my favorite little parts in any video game, right? Like the part where you beat Orochi and it's just that festival at the thing. You're like, oh man,
That's my favorite part.
yeah, it's so good.
It's so good, yeah.
And so you know, But if with all that being said, you still feel like it should be above.
Yeah, I feel like Okami has some parts where it kind of slows down a bit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't maintain the pace as well as maybe Psychonauts does.
Sure.
So I feel like that.
Like in general, I feel like Psychonauts should be a little low on the list. But if we're comparing specifically Okami and Psychonauts, I think Psychonauts is better.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a strong opinion right now about that, but I will soon.
Soon being relative.
There we go.
Soon being, there's this huge roadblock called Xenoblade.
Oh,
Will has no faith in you, Brandon.
Brandon, did you get 2
Jeez.
car plays yet?
Oh god.
Yes, I fucking did.
Did you get past it?
Well, don't worry about it.
Fucking A.
But anyway, so that's gonna put it underneath Super Smash Bros. Melee, and actually, let me go through here. It's gonna put it at number 24 on the list.
24.
24, very respectable number.
Can't be too mad at that.
Yeah, can't be too mad at that. 24 of the best games of all time that are on this list.
That are on this list is the important distinction.
that are on this list. That's going to put it between sitting at number 22, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest. Is it Diddy's Kong Quest?
I think it's Diddy's Kong Quest.
Diddy's Conquest.
Whatever it is, I gotta say, I fucking love that game, and it should be higher than number 22.
Re-rank is coming up soon.
But there it sits, number 22. Number 23, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Hotly contested at last year's Rankamania, which I'll get to very soon.
I don't know if it was
number
contested.
24.
I feel like it was just me losing.
Well,
Was it you? I thought it was Saf.
I mean, I just wanted it to
Saf
be
was
lower.
the one who moved it.
That's my main goal. Like, I've...
moved it.
I'll talk about it later.
No, let's not get too backtracked here because I'm trying to get the numbers. We're gonna fuck me up. At number 24, Psychonauts. You've heard all about it. Go play it if you haven't. Number 25, Okami HD. Game that I'll play one day that these guys have enjoyed. At number 26, the game that has a day that we're going to be celebrating tomorrow. I mean, I know this is going to be uploaded way later in the fact, but Super Mario Brothers,
Happy
the
March
original.
March 10th.
What a classic. What a classic. Sitting there at number 26 on the list. Some would say that it should be lower, but those people are jerks.
Those people are correct.
You're in the call with all the people that think that.
But speaking of people who think that things should be lower, we are on the road to Rankamania, baby.
Give me the green light.
Because I'm ready to go. So we're on the road to Rankamania. If you don't know what that is, every single time, every time this list reaches another milestone of 50. So when we got to 50 the first time, we had Rankamania 1. We're getting dangerously close to reaching number 100. We actually 93 games on the list right now. So very soon, once it reaches 100, we're going to have Rankamania 2, the showcase of the Immortals. I copyrighted that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Vince,
Granddaddy
let it
of them all. Hey, they don't want to use it anymore, so I'm going to use it now. The granddaddy of them all, Rankamania 2. That's going to be recorded, and basically how it works, I'll just explain it real quick. All of us are going to be there on the episode, including Moozamil, who's not here on the game club, but we're all going to be there. We're all going to pick one game that we think deserves to be re-ranked, and then we're going to decide where it goes. So if you look at this list and you say, these guys are dumb idiots, we are aware of that. We are going to fix it. We're going to fix it by arguing and hating each other after.
Sorry.
Oh man.
So look forward to Rankamania. It's coming soon. We're on the road to it.
We should all get
very
drunk
fun.
before Rankamania.
Good luck with that.
Oh no.
Pac-Man's got a top.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea, but Rankamania 2 is gonna be fun. But anyway, before we leave, though, I just gotta say thank you guys for listening to the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. But if you enjoyed, we also have a weekly podcast where we talk about the news and video games. We add a game to the list every week in rotation. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out every single week on Monday. You can't even beat that. Every week, man, free entertainment. You can't complain. It's free. So if you enjoyed that, also check us out on social media. We got a Twitter, we got an Instagram, we got a Facebook, we got a Snap face. That's a joke. It's not really a thing. We don't have Snapchat, by the way. Don't look us up.
MySpace.
Do we have a Friendster?
We don't have a
face chat?
Friendster, no, or a MySpace, but we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and just search us up, Jump Up Supercast. You follow us there, you'll get updates when new episodes go up, whether it's a game club or the regular episodes. Also got a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Jump Up Supercast, that's where I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles and eventually Okami and all the other shit that I'm playing here. So check us out. All the other shit, and maybe he'll be popping in here and there. It's a fun time. Who knows? Make sure you subscribe to see what's going on. Thank you though for joining us. Thank you for the support. I want to thank Ills. I want to thank Saf. I want to thank Noah. I want to thank Will. I want to thank myself for picking Psychonauts. But I want to thank everybody for listening. But one more thing real quick before we go. I know it's going on and on, but we need more video games, right, to play, because this is a game club. It's what we do here. Saf, it's your turn, my friend. And I just want to say, Saf, we love you here.
I love me too.
And I'll let you announce the game and whatever else you want to say afterwards. But yeah, take it away, my friend. What are we playing?
Oh shit! I love that game.
Baby.
That is a parody of all the shooters that came out on the generation that it came out, and just like every other parody that's out there, it just wants to have fun, and that's all it just wants to do, just have fun.
Just like all the blonde girls too.
Much like girls.
Also, this is going to be my last game, so I just want to go out with something a little bit more joyous.
Wait, what?
This is my last game club episode.
Is this a... I was not informed.
No,
Wait,
Yeah,
is this your last one or the next one?
No, well,
I'm
next
sorry,
one.
yeah.
Next
Sav
one.
says
Bullet
that we're
Sword.
playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions and never appears on a game club again. That's how
Well, this is not a permanent leave. This is
Probably,
indefinite, right?
I mean, shit's going hectic
Right,
a little bit
indefinite.
in terms
Because-
of like work life, so I just want to like reorganize shit and kind of find my own zen.
Wow. We respect that, Saf, and you're, like I said, it's indefinite because you're always welcome back to the game club whenever you're ready. But we still got one more game that you're gonna pick,
Question.
and that's Bulletstorm.
Are we doing the remaster with Duke Nukem in it?
That's a DLC. If you want to play it with Duke Nukem,
You gotta pay it for Duke Nukem? Oh my god.
all the more power to you.
I mean,
It's $5, I think, for
it
the
was
DLC
free
or some
on
shit. So.
PSN, so go wild with that shit. Like, I
Yeah.
think I already told you it when it was free, so if you've already added it to your library, you should be able to just get access to it.
Thank you guys again for playing for playing Psychonauts and joining me here again. Really appreciate it. I will be back in a couple weeks to talk about Bulletstorm. And if you liked us, make sure you share. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Play some video games and be nice.